Unlike Donald Trump, Kamala Harris does not believe that people who exercise free speech, use their First Amendment right to peacefully protest, should be shot. Yes, we know, of course, those are Donald Trump's feelings, but Kamala Harris's are much different. And that was demonstrated during a mega viral moment at a rally when a protester began to interrupt Kamala Harris's speech, and her response was so perfect, and I cannot wait to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into what Kamala Harris had to say in response to this protester, I think we need a little bit of context on the full situation, and we can get some of that in this interview with Kamala Harris right here.
Israel launched an attack on Iran that has raised fears of a widening conflict in the Middle East. What is your message to Iran?
Well, first of all, do not respond. It would be a mistake. And we are prepared to defend Israel as we have before. We will again. But the critical point is that there must be a de-escalation in the region. And we are working through diplomatic channels and other channels to ensure that there is a de-escalation in the region.
Is there any indication based on the intelligence that you've seen that Iran wants to respond?
I can't speak to that, but we've been very clear as the United States that they should not respond and that it would be a mistake.
What are the consequences if they do?
I'll keep you posted.
Now, no matter how you feel about the conflict in the Middle East, it is incredibly clear that Kamala Harris is our best option when it comes to all things, really, but foreign policy especially. We have seen the danger that Donald Trump is, someone willing to extort our allies, someone willing to buddy up to our enemies. Even Donald Trump's own generals, as we will get into later in this video, know that he is a threat, not just domestically, but abroad. Marco Rubio, and I always use him as an example, someone who is outspoken in his support of Donald Trump, doesn't think he should have the nuclear codes, even if he was president, because they know how dangerous he is. This is incredibly clear. It's the reason that Kamala Harris has already been and will be such an incredible leader on the world stage, because unlike Donald Trump, she has character, and that is reflected. And so before we get to the moment of her speech that was interrupted, I want to hear a little bit of a clip from it right here.
We are all in this together. We have so much more in common than what separates us, and we are going to fight for the country we love. And that is why we are all here together, because we love our country. We love our country. And you gotta fight for the thing you love. You gotta fight for the thing you love. And I do believe it is one of the highest forms of patriotism, the expression of the love of our country, to then fight for its ideals. It is the highest form of patriotism, and one of the most powerful ways we do that is with our vote.
Kamala Harris is seeking to unify, seeking to bring us together, while, of course, Donald Trump thrives off of dividing Americans, pitting us against each other, making people fearful, making people angry. Kamala Harris wants to work towards solutions. Donald Trump wants to act on his grievances. As Kamala Harris has said, Donald Trump has an enemies list while she has a to-do list. And the difference will be who's looking at what on the first day in the Oval Office. Donald Trump wants to go after his enemies. Kamala Harris wants to get shit done. That's what she's always going to do. Even when there is pushback, she'll listen and she'll respond to build consensus. She wants to improve us, and that means listening to people who disagree with her and responding like she did to this protester in this clip.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Listen, no, hold on. Hold on. I want to talk about Gaza for a minute. Okay? We can and we must seize this opportunity to end this war and bring the hostages home. And I will do everything in my power to meet that end. And we are here because we are fighting for a democracy. respect the voices of all people. And we've got a job to do in the next 9 days to fight for this democracy we love. 9 days. And we understand we have an opportunity before us to turn the page on the fear and the divisiveness that have characterized our politics for a decade because of Donald Trump. We have the ability to turn the page on that same old tired playbook because we are exhausted with it.
Once again, no matter how you feel, you have to recognize that that is the type of leadership that we need. Someone who is willing to listen, someone who is willing to bring about real consensus and move us forward with a positive vision for the future. That's what Kamala Harris is about. And of course, with the revelations of how General Mark Milley and how John Kelly viewed Donald Trump and the threat that he poses, of course, not to the globe, but just us domestically, it is also important to bring up that they revealed that Donald Trump wanted to shoot protesters. We saw him say that a couple of weeks ago, a protester at his rally in California should be beaten as they were being taken out. That's terrifying. That is how Donald Trump wants to treat anyone who disagrees with him. And so the contrast there is so stark, as it always is with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and it continued in the rest of the speech right here.
Let's spend these next 9 days knowing we did everything we could, that we connected with each other, with our neighbors, that we went up to perfect strangers in the grocery store and said, you know what? I see you. Let's approach this moment in a way that in the face of a stranger, we see a neighbor. And let's talk with each other about what we have in common. Let's build community. And let's knock on doors. Let's text and call potential voters. Let's reach out to our family and our friends and our classmates and our neighbors. Tell them about the stakes in this election and tell them about their power.
Engaging voters. It is time to turn people out. We are in the final days of get out the vote. That is what Kamala Harris is talking about right now. Well, Donald Trump is already planning ways to steal people's voice, to steal their vote. We heard him yesterday at his New York City Madison Square Garden rally say that him and Mike Johnson have a secret plan for the House, something that should be absolutely horrifying to us, that Donald Trump is once again plotting to overturn an election even before it has happened. It should be terrifying to us all. And it's the reason why Donald Trump's own former administration officials are warning about him, like President Obama brought up right here.
They are not, quote unquote, woke liberals. They are people who have never in the past even talked about politics because they believe that the military should be above politics. But the reason they're speaking up is because they have seen that in Donald Trump's mind, the military does not exist to serve the Constitution or the American people. He doesn't see being commander-in-chief as a solemn, sacred responsibility, just like everything else. He thinks the military exists to do his bidding, to serve his interests.
I think it's interesting the way that Donald Trump and his stooges, especially J.D. Vance, have tried to spin this idea, saying that Donald Trump's former administration officials, especially those generals, those military officials who have come out against him, only did so because he was a president who brought about peace and they wanted strength, which just completely runs contrary to the truth. And his generals were needed to keep Donald Trump from starting conflicts. The restraint that they put on him is what kept us out of war. They know that, of course. J.D. Vance probably does. He just wants to deny it because he is a spineless liar. But it is important to bring up that fact and to dispel with this idea that Donald Trump was a president who brought about peace and he did so by being strong. No, he is insecure. He is unstable. That is why he would be such a threat. It is complete projection. It is complete hypocrisy. It is a lie that they are trying to push. Unsurprisingly so, but Kamala Harris is calling it out. as she did right here.
And I also believe that the people who know him best on this subject should be trusted. Again, look at their careers. These are not people, with the exception, I think, of only Mike Pence. These were not politicians. These are career people who have served in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected. Talking about the person who would be commander-in-chief, not to mention what we know and what they've told us about how he talks about the military, servicemen and women, referring to them as suckers and losers, how he demeans people who have taken an oath to sacrifice their life for our country.
The people closest to Donald Trump continue to tell us how unfit he is. Maybe we should listen. If you don't want to listen to me, which kind of hurts my feelings, I hope you would if you're tuning in, if you enjoy the show. Listen to his generals, listen to Republicans, listen to Liz and Dick Cheney, for God's sakes. This is a clear choice in this election. We're only so many days out. I'm kind of being driven crazy at this point that we're still convincing people, that we're still trying to change minds. But that is the important work. We will continue to do it. I am always so grateful that you're a part of doing it with me. So thank you so much. And if you want to support our channel, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.